Welcome to the lesson. In this lesson, you will learn how to use the passive voice. We'll start with a short video that will give you some examples. Then, we will look at the structure and meaning of the past simple passive. After that, we will look at the difference between an agent and a patient. This is a critical point when it comes to understanding the passive. Next, we'll talk about when and why the passive is used. Finally, there will be a few exercises for you to practice what you've learned. Once upon a time, a father went grocery shopping with his daughter. The whole time, the little girl had just one thing on her mind.
Buy me cookies!
No.
Buy me cookies!
No way.
Buy me cookies!
They're too sugary.
Buy me cookies!
Nope.
Buy me cookies!
No way.
Buy me cookies! Buy me cookies!
No.
Buy me cookies!
No.
Buy me cookies!
No, would you stop asking me?
Buy me cookies!
No, 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 no.
Please, 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 please!
Fine. Go get your cookies. When they got home, the father put away the groceries and then went to do some work, leaving the little girl alone in the kitchen with the cookies. Realizing that her father was busy elsewhere, she decided to go to town on the cookies. Yum, 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 yum. Meanwhile, her father was busy at work. All of a sudden, he heard the scariest noise a parent can hear. The sound of silence. So, he decided to go check on his daughter. Oh my goodness, little girl! What happened here?
Look, Dada, a big mess was made.
I can see that, honey. Who made the mess?
I don't know. The cookies were eaten.
I can see that, sweetie pie. Who ate the cookies?
I don't know.
And why are there cookie crumbs on your face?
I don't know.
Little one, we need to have a talk about honesty. Wasn't she a cute little girl? A cutie and a master of grammar. She said, "The cookies were eaten." This is a perfect example of the past simple passive. Our first step on the journey to understanding the passive voice will be to look at the verb phrase. The verb phrase has two verbs, were and eaten. When using the passive voice, you must add the verb be before the main verb. Be is an auxiliary verb. The main verb takes the past participle form. A few words about the auxiliary be. It takes the tense of the main verb in the corresponding active sentence. In this case, the active sentence is someone ate the cookies. The main verb is in the simple past. So be in the corresponding passive sentence is also in the simple past. The main verb is then written in the past participle form. Another important point is that the auxiliary be here must agree with the subject. For example, you should say, I was eaten. I know what you're thinking. And yes, the dead are walking. You were eaten. He was eaten. She was eaten. It was eaten. We were eaten. And they were eaten. So that's what we do with the verb. But wait a minute. What about the nouns? Before we consider what to do with the nouns, let's review the example.
The cookies were eaten.
Who ate the cookies?
I don't know.
There are two ways to describe the nouns in this sentence. You will be shown both. The first way to talk about the nouns is to describe their sentence roles. In the sentence, someone ate the cookie, someone is the subject, ate is the verb, and the cookies is the object. The second way to talk about them is to describe their case roles. Case roles describe the relationships that the nouns have to the action of the verb. In this sentence, the case role of someone is called the agent because someone does the action of the verb. Who ate the cookie? Someone. The cookie is described as the patient. The patient is the person or thing that has the verb done to it. For example, what was eaten? The cookies. Notice that in an active sentence, the subject is the agent. Actually, this is the definition of an active sentence. Now, let's look at the passive version of this sentence. The cookies were eaten. In this sentence, the cookies is the subject. It is also the patient. What was eaten? The cookies, right? Actually, this is the definition of a passive sentence. A passive sentence is one in which the subject is the patient. But what about the agent? If you wish to show the agent, you must use what is called an agentive by phrase. For example, the cookies were eaten by someone. How mysterious, eh? So here we have by plus the agent. Once more, this is called an agentive by phrase. Why is the passive used? Well, why did the little girl use the passive? It was because she wanted to avoid telling her father who had actually eaten the cookies. So, she wanted to avoid naming the agent. Not wanting to say who or what the agent is actually the reason why people use the passive. There are a few reasons why people avoid saying the agent. A speaker may do this for several reasons. Most commonly, this is done when the agent is unknown. It may also be done because the agent is obvious or less important than the patient. Finally, it is sometimes used to be polite. That is, to avoid blaming someone for a negative action. On to unknown agents. The most common type of unknown agent, if he or she is good at what they do, is the criminal. For this reason, the passive is often used by police and lawyers. For example, a policeman might say, "A house was broken into. The window was smashed. Some valuables were stolen. A lot of jewelry was taken." An example of an obvious agent is a natural disaster. When one happens, people know. For example, after a tornado, people may say, 3 houses were destroyed. The roof was ripped off each one. 3 cars were flipped over. When something is created by a culture or people, the artifact of that culture may be more interesting than the actual culture. That is, a speaker may wish to make it the topic of their sentence. For example, someone might say, "Beer was invented in Egypt," or "Chocolate was first grown in Mexico." Finally, "Sushi was created in Japan."
すごい!
Uh-oh. To be polite here, instead of saying, "You broke the plate," you could say, A plate was broken. No big deal. It's not important who did it. It could happen to any of us. All right, here's the first exercise. Identify the case roles of the nouns in the following sentences. The answers will be revealed after the timer has counted down. And now for the second exercise. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to rewrite the following sentences in the passive voice. Once again, the answers will be available after the timer has counted down. Well, that's it for this lesson. I hope you've learned a lot. Have a great day.